Tonight I shall share with you 7 principles that, when properly understood and applied, will transform your entire world in a single day. Not in a year, not in a month, but in one day. For you see, transformation does not require time, it requires understanding. Let me share with you these 7 principles that revolutionized my understanding and instantaneously transformed my world. But before I share them, you must understand that these are not mere techniques or strategies. These are divine principles that reveal the very nature of reality itself. The first principle is this: your consciousness is the only reality. Not your thoughts, not your emotions, but your consciousness, your I am-ness. This principle, when truly understood, will shake the very foundation of your world. For you see, what you are conscious of being, you must become. Consider the words of Scripture. Be still and know that I am God. Notice it doesn't say become God or try to be God. It says know that I am God. This knowing, this consciousness is the first principle that will transform your world instantly when truly grasped. Many of you come to me asking how long it takes to change your life. But I tell you now, when you grasp this first principle, that your consciousness is the only reality, change is instantaneous. For you see, you don't become what you want, you become what you are conscious of being. The second principle is this: the world is yourself pushed out. Everything you see, everything you experience, every person you meet, all of it is yourself pushed out. This is not philosophy, this is law. When you truly understand this principle, you will never again blame circumstances or other people. Let me share with you how this second principle works. When you look at your world, you are not seeing something separate from yourself. You are seeing your consciousness made visible. Your financial situation, your relationships, your health, all of it is your consciousness pushed out. Consider this carefully. If you don't like what you see in your world, you don't try to change the world. You change your consciousness, and the world must change to reflect it. For the world has no choice but to reflect your consciousness. It is yourself pushed out. The third principle is this: the feeling is the secret. Not the words you speak, not the actions you take, but the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This principle, when properly understood, eliminates all struggle and effort from manifestation. Let me share with you what I mean by feeling. I am not speaking of emotion or sensation. I am speaking of the feeling of naturalness, the feeling of your wish fulfilled. When you have this feeling, you have the secret of creation itself. Consider how you feel about your own name. You don't hope it's your name. You don't affirm it's your name. You simply feel the naturalness of it being your name. This is the feeling I'm speaking of. When you can feel this same naturalness about your desire, you have mastered the third principle. The fourth principle is this: everyone is yourself pushed out. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, but literally. Every person you encounter is playing the role that your consciousness has assigned them. When you grasp this principle, relationships transform instantly. Let me share with you how this fourth principle works in practice. If someone is treating you unkindly, you don't try to change their behavior. You change your consciousness of them, and they must change to reflect your new consciousness. For they have no choice, they are yourself pushed out. Consider this carefully. When you say that person is against me, you are really saying, I am conscious of being someone against whom that person is set. Change your consciousness, and they must change their behavior. The fifth principle is this: there is no such thing as time in consciousness. The future is not ahead of you waiting to happen. It exists now in your consciousness. When you grasp this principle, all sense of waiting and delay disappears. Let me share with you why this principle is so transformative. Most people think their desire takes time to manifest. But I tell you now, Time is not a factor in manifestation. What matters is the intensity of your consciousness, not the duration of your waiting. Consider the words of Scripture before they call, I will answer. This is telling you that your desire already exists in consciousness. Your task is not to create it, but to accept it as already existing now. The sixth principle is this: revision is creation. What you call the past is simply memory, and memory can be revised. When you revise the past in imagination, you literally recreate your world. This principle, when properly understood, gives you complete freedom from the tyranny of past events. Let me share with you how this sixth principle works. If you don't like something that happened today, you don't try to forget it or overcome it. Instead, you revise it in your imagination. See it happening differently. Feel it happening differently. And that revision becomes the truth in consciousness. Consider this: your present circumstances are the result of your past thoughts and feelings. Change those past thoughts and feelings through revision, and you must change your present circumstances. The seventh and final principle is this: your imaginal acts become facts. What you imagine with feeling, what you accept as true in consciousness, must become facts in your world. This principle, when properly understood, eliminates all doubt and uncertainty about manifestation. Let me share with you how these 7 principles work together to transform your life in a single day. First, you must understand that these principles are not sequential. They are simultaneous. They are all operating in your life right now, whether you're aware of them or not. Consider how the first principle, consciousness is the only reality, works with the second principle. The world is yourself pushed out. When you really grasp these together, you realize that every single thing you're conscious of must express itself in your world. Let me give you a perfect example from Scripture. When Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, he was demonstrating these principles. He was conscious of being the way, first principle, and his world had to reflect that consciousness, second principle. Now let's see how the third principle, the feeling is the secret, works with the fourth principle. Everyone is yourself pushed out. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, everyone in your world must play their part to bring about that fulfillment. They have no choice, for they are yourself pushed out. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, how can these principles transform my life in just one day? Let me tell you something. Transformation doesn't require time, it requires acceptance. When you truly accept these principles, transformation is instantaneous. Consider how the fifth principle, there is no time in consciousness, works with the sixth principle, revision is creation. Because there is no time in consciousness, you can revise any event, any circumstance, any relationship right now. And that revision must manifest in your world. Let me share with you how the seventh principle, imaginal acts become facts, ties all of these together. When you imagine with feeling, accepting your consciousness as the only reality, seeing the world as yourself pushed out, knowing there is no time, and revising what needs to be revised, your imaginal act must become a fact. But, and this is crucial, you must apply these principles from understanding, not from hope or wish. Most people try to use these principles while still believing in external causes. But I tell you now, there are no external causes. All causes lie in consciousness. Let me share with you what I call the 4 stages of applying these principles. Most people fail because they don't understand these stages, and therefore they abandon the principles before transformation can occur. The first stage is understanding. This is where you truly grasp that these principles are not techniques or methods, but laws of consciousness as exact as mathematics. When you understand them at this level, you stop questioning whether they will work and start questioning whether you're applying them correctly. The second stage is acceptance. This is where you move beyond intellectual understanding to genuine acceptance of these principles as the only reality. When you reach this stage, you no longer need proof or evidence. You know these principles are true just as you know your own name. The third stage is application. But then this is crucial. This is not the mechanical application that most people attempt. This is the natural, effortless application that comes from understanding and acceptance. When you reach this stage, you're no longer trying to make things happen. You're allowing them to happen according to law. The fourth stage is transformation. This is where your entire world begins to reflect your new understanding. Not gradually, not eventually, but instantly. For you see, when you truly understand, accept, and apply these principles, transformation must follow. It is law. Let me share with you how each of the 7 principles operates at each stage. Take the first principle, consciousness is the only reality. At the understanding stage, you grasp this intellectually. At the acceptance stage, you know it is truth. At the application stage, you live from it. At the transformation stage, your world reflects it. Consider how the second principle, the world is yourself pushed out, works through these stages. At understanding, you see the logic of it. At acceptance, you know it as fact. At application, you take full responsibility for your world. At transformation, your world reshapes itself to match your consciousness. Many of you may be wondering about the role of time in these stages. Let me tell you something, time is only involved in the understanding stage. Once you move to acceptance, time ceases to be a factor. For you see, acceptance, that application, and transformation are all aspects of the eternal now. Let me share with you how the third principle, the feeling is the secret, operates through these 4 stages. At the understanding stage, you grasp that feeling is more powerful than thought. At the acceptance stage, you know that feeling is the very substance of creation. At the application stage, you naturally occupy the feeling of your wish fulfilled. At the transformation stage, your world rearranges itself to match your feeling. Consider this carefully. Most people try to feel after they see evidence of their desire. But I tell you now, feeling must precede evidence. This is why the third principle is so transformative. It reverses the common approach to manifestation. Let me show you how the fourth principle, everyone is yourself pushed out, works through these stages. At understanding, you see how others reflect your consciousness. At acceptance, you know they must reflect your consciousness. At application, you naturally revise your consciousness of others. At transformation, they instantly begin to reflect your revised consciousness. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, what if others have free will? Let me tell you something my teacher Abdullah taught me. There is only one consciousness individualizing all of humanity. Therefore, what you call others' free will is really your consciousness of them pushed out. Consider how the fifth principle, there is no time in consciousness, operates through these stages. At understanding, you grasp that time is psychological, not chronological. At acceptance, you know that now is the only reality. At application, you naturally live from the end. At transformation, your desired future becomes your present reality. Let me share with you what happened when I first grasped this principle. I saw that all my waiting for things to manifest was actually delaying their manifestation. For you see, as long as you're waiting for something, you're pushing it into a future that never arrives. Consider how the sixth principle, revision is creation, works through these stages. At understanding, you see that memory can be changed. At acceptance, you know that revising the past changes the present. At application, you naturally revise unwanted experiences. At transformation, your revised past creates a new present. Let me share with you how the seventh principle, imaginal acts become facts, operates through these stages. At understanding, you grasp that imagination creates reality. At acceptance, you know that what you imagine must externalize itself. At application, you naturally live in your imagination. At transformation, your imaginal acts become your physical facts. Consider this carefully. When these 7 principles are properly understood and applied together, they create what I call the divine circle of creation. The first principle establishes that consciousness is the only reality. The second principle shows that the world must reflect consciousness. The third principle reveals how to impress consciousness through feeling. The fourth principle demonstrates that everyone must play their part. The fifth principle eliminates time from the equation. The sixth principle allows for instant revision of unwanted states. And the seventh principle guarantees manifestation. Let me share with you the 3 most common mistakes people make when applying these principles. The first mistake is trying to use them as techniques rather than living them as truth. The second mistake is looking for results before fully accepting the principles. The third mistake is abandoning the principles when circumstances seem to contradict them. But I tell you now, when you truly understand these principles, you cannot make these mistakes. For you see, understanding brings acceptance. Acceptance brings application. And application brings transformation, all in a single day. Consider what happens when you truly grasp these principles. You stop trying to change things in the outer world because you know the outer world is yourself pushed out. You stop waiting for things to happen because you know there is no time in consciousness. You stop worrying about others' reactions because you know they are yourself pushed out. Let me share with you what I call the 3 orders of understanding these principles. The first order is intellectual understanding. You grasp them with your mind. The second order is emotional understanding. You feel their truth in your heart. The third order is spiritual understanding. You know them in your soul. Let me share with you what I call the 5 states of consciousness that these principles reveal. The first state is the state of confusion. This is where most people lie, not understanding that they are the creators of their reality. The second state is the state of awakening. This is where you begin to grasp these principles intellectually. You start to see the connection between your consciousness and your world. But be careful, many people get stuck in this state, endlessly studying but never moving to application. The third state is the state of testing. This is where you begin to apply these principles in your life. You start small, testing them in various situations. But remember, you're not really testing the principles, you're testing your understanding of them. For these principles are law, as exact as mathematics. The fourth state is the state of knowing. This is where you move beyond testing to absolute certainty. You no longer need proof because you know these principles are true, just as you know your own name is true. The fifth state is the state of being. This is where you don't just know the principles, you become them. You live from them naturally, effortlessly, continuously. This is the state from which instant transformation occurs. Consider how these states relate to the 7 principles. In the state of confusion, you don't even know these principles exist. In the state of awakening, you begin to understand them. In the state of testing, you start to apply them. In the state of knowing, you trust them completely. In the state of being, you are them. Let me share with you what happened when I moved through these states. In the state of confusion, I was like everyone else, believing in external causes, blaming circumstances, waiting for things to change. In the state of awakening, I began to see that my consciousness was creating my reality. But I wasn't yet ready to take full responsibility for it. In the state of testing, I began to apply these principles in specific situations. I would consciously revise events, imagine desired outcomes, assume the feeling of wishes fulfilled. And I saw results, but I was still separate from the principles. In the state of knowing, something profound happened. I no longer needed to test these principles because I knew them as law. Just as you don't test whether gravity will work each morning, I no longer tested whether these principles would work. I knew they must work because they are law. Let me share with you what the state of being looks like. In this state, you don't try to use the principles, you live them. You don't think about consciousness being the only reality, you live from that knowing. You don't try to feel your wish fulfilled, you naturally occupy that state. Consider what happens when you reach this state of being. The 7 principles are no longer separate from you. They are you. The first principle, consciousness is the only reality, becomes your natural state of awareness. The second principle, the world is yourself pushed out, becomes your constant understanding. The third principle, the feeling is the secret, becomes your natural way of creating. The fourth principle, everyone is yourself pushed out, becomes your fundamental relationship with others. The fifth principle, there is no time in consciousness, becomes your perpetual now. The sixth principle, revision is creation, becomes your automatic response to unwanted events. And the seventh principle, imaginal acts become facts, becomes your normal way of living. Let me share with you the 3 signs that indicate you've reached the state of being. First, you no longer try to make things happen. You know they must happen according to law. Second, you no longer react to circumstances, you simply revise them. Third, you no longer wait for manifestation, you live from the end. Consider this carefully. These 7 principles transform my life in one day, not because they are magical, but because they are law. When you truly understand them, truly live them, transformation must follow. It cannot be otherwise. Let me share with you the final truth about these 7 principles. When fully understood and lived from, they eliminate what most people call problems. For you see, problems can only exist when you believe in external causes. When you know that consciousness is the only reality, that the world is yourself pushed out, that feeling is the secret, that everyone is yourself pushed out, that there is no time, that revision is creation, and that imaginal acts become facts, what problem could possibly exist? Consider this carefully. Every problem you think you have is simply a misunderstanding of these principles. If you have a financial problem, you're forgetting that consciousness is the only reality. If you have a relationship problem, you're forgetting that everyone is yourself pushed out. If you have a health problem, you're forgetting that feeling is the secret. Let me share with you what happens when you live from these principles. You stop trying to solve problems and start revising states of consciousness. You stop trying to change others and start changing your consciousness of them. You stop trying to make things happen and start living from the end. These principles transformed my life in one day because I stopped trying to use them and started living them. I stopped seeing them as tools and started seeing them as laws. I stopped applying them occasionally and started living from them continuously. Remember this, transformation doesn't take time. It takes understanding. When you truly understand these 7 principles, truly live from them, truly become them, your entire world must transform. Not because you made it happen, but because it must happen according to law. That's the message I want to leave with you tonight. These principles will transform your life in one day when you truly understand them. Not because they are magical, but because they are law. Not because they are techniques, but because they are truth. And isn't that worth thinking about? Thank you all, and good night. The universe guides you toward greatness through one fundamental principle. Imagination creates reality. This is not poetry or metaphor, but the most practical of all practical facts. The world you perceive externally is nothing more than your own consciousness pushed out. Every circumstance, every person, every detail of your life exists first within you before it manifests without. Tonight, I wish to impress upon you that the universe, that infinite intelligence some call God, is not separate from you, directing your path from afar. Rather, it is your own wonderful human imagination, that divine faculty within you that creates and sustains all that you experience. Your imagination is God in action, and through its proper use, you manifest greatness beyond measure. Consider for a moment what imagination truly is. It is not idle fantasy or wishful thinking. It is the very substance of reality, the creative power through which all things are made. When you imagine, you are literally tuning into the frequency of creation itself. You are participating in the divine act of bringing forth worlds. Now, listen carefully, for what I am about to tell you contradicts everything you have been taught about causation. You have been told that what you observe in the outer world is the cause of your inner states. That poverty causes you to feel poor. That illness causes you to feel unwell. That loneliness causes you to feel unloved. This is entirely backward. Your inner states, your assumptions, your dominant feelings, these are the causes of all outer conditions. The universe guides you by responding unerringly to your state of consciousness. If you persist in the feeling of being wealthy, the outer world must reshape itself to match that inner conviction. If you dwell in the assumption of perfect health, your body will conform. If you live from the state of being deeply loved, relationships will transform, or new ones will appear to reflect that state. This is law, as certain as gravity. It cannot fail, for consciousness is the only reality, and all else is merely its shadow. The outer world has no choice but to mirror faithfully what you hold to be true in consciousness. This is how the universe guides you, not by external signs or omens, but by the perfect correlation between your inner and outer worlds. Now, many of you sit here tonight wondering, if this is true, why have my dreams not manifested? Why does greatness elude me? The answer is both simple and profound. You have not yet fully occupied the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire. You visit it occasionally in imagination, but you do not live there. You do not sleep in that state night after night, feeling its reality so intensely that experience anything else would seem impossible. Let me share with you the perfect technique for manifesting greatness. Before you sleep each night, bring your attention completely to the end, the fulfillment of your desire. See it not as something that will happen in some vague future, but as something that has already happened. Feel the satisfaction, the relief, the joy of attainment. Ask yourself, how would I feel if my desire were already a fact? Then capture that feeling and fall asleep in it. In that drowsy state between waking and sleeping, your conscious mind relaxes its guard, and your subconscious becomes impressionable. What you impress upon it then must objectify in your world. This is not suggestion or self-hypnosis in the ordinary sense. This is entering the state of the wish fulfilled, and your subconscious mind, which is God in you, will move heaven and earth to externalize that state. Remember always that creation is finished. All possible states exist now. You do not create your desired state. You simply select it by occupying it in imagination. When you enter a state in consciousness, you automatically create a bridge of incidents that will lead to its physical expression. The universe guides you unfailingly along this bridge. I recall a young woman who attended my lectures years ago. She desired to be married to a specific man, but he showed no interest in her. Night after night, she fell asleep feeling the wedding ring on her finger, hearing friends congratulate her, feeling the presence of her husband beside her in bed. Within 3 months, against all outer evidence, that very man proposed to her. The universe guided her by responding to her dominant state of consciousness. Now, some will say this is mere coincidence. Others will claim she somehow influenced the man psychologically. Both miss the point entirely. She did not change the man, she changed herself. In changing her concept of self, seeing herself as the beloved wife rather than the ignored admirer, she entered a new relationship with the entire universe, including that man. He had no choice but to play the part assigned to him in her revision of self. This brings us to another crucial aspect of how the universe guides you. It responds not to your desires, but to your concept of self. You may desire wealth fervently, but if you maintain a self-concept of one who struggles financially, your desire will be frustrated. The universe guides you according to who you believe yourself to be. Therefore, the greatest act of manifestation is the transformation of your self-concept. When you truly know yourself to be great, greatness must follow, as surely as night follows day. This is not egotism or delusion. It is aligning with your divine nature. For you are not merely a human being seeking spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. Let us explore this further. The self-concept is formed of your habitual thoughts and feelings about yourself. These thoughts are often so deeply ingrained that you accept them without question. I am unlucky. I am not creative. Success is difficult for me. These are not facts, they are assumptions. And all assumptions can be changed through the conscious use of imagination. Revise your self-concept by mentally constructing scenes that imply you are who you wish to be. If you wish to be wealthy, create a scene where you are discussing your financial abundance with a friend. Make it brief, make it natural, but most importantly, make it imply the fulfillment of your desire. Repeat this scene until it feels more real than its absence. The universe guides you through the law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true, consciously or unconsciously, will harden into fact in your experience. This is why casual negative assumptions are so dangerous. When you say nothing ever works out for me, you are instructing the universe to ensure exactly that outcome. Your word, your assumption, is quite literally your wand of fulfillment. Now let me address something that troubles many seekers. The matter of effort. There is a prevailing belief that manifestation requires strain, visualization exercises, or patience repeated thousands of times. I tell you, the universe guides you not through effort, but through the intensity of your conviction. One moment of complete acceptance is worth more than years of trying. The feeling is the secret. When you capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled and persist in it, you have found the secret of manifestation. The feeling is both the means and the end. Feel wealth, and you will be wealthy. Feel health, and you will be healthy. Feel love, and you will be loved. The universe responds not to your words or actions, but to your dominant feeling tones. Consider a man who desires promotion at work. He may affirm daily that he deserves advancement. He may visualize sitting in the executive office. But if his feeling tone is one of unworthiness or anxiety, these will be the seeds that bear fruit. Instead, let him capture the feeling of satisfaction that would be his upon achieving the promotion. Let him feel the handshakes of congratulation, the pride in telling his family, the confidence as he occupies his new position. This feeling, persisted in, will draw to him the circumstances necessary for its fulfillment. The universe guides you by responding to your emotional states. Emotion is energy in motion, the propelling force behind manifestation. Your desires will manifest not when you want them most desperately, but when you feel most naturally that they are already yours. This brings us to another critical point. Manifestation occurs most readily in the absence of desperation. When you need something so badly that you are consumed by the need, you are actually affirming its absence. You are declaring to the universe, I do not have this, and my happiness depends upon getting it. This state of consciousness can only produce more of its own lack. Instead, cultivate a state of grateful acceptance. Even before your desire appears physically, thank the universe for its fulfillment. Live in the calm certainty that what you have assumed in consciousness must objectify. This attitude of relaxed confidence is magnetic to your good. I once knew a man who had been unemployed for months. He came to me in desperation, having tried everything to secure work. I instructed him to fall asleep each night, as though he were returning from a satisfying day at a wonderful job, not visualizing the specific employer, but feeling the satisfaction of meaningful work and financial security. Within 2 weeks, he received 3 job offers, one of which was far better than anything he had previously imagined possible. The universe guided him not through his frantic search, but through his assumption of employment as an already established fact. Now, there is another aspect of universal guidance that is often overlooked, the matter of timing. Many abandon their manifestation practices because their desires do not materialize on their preferred schedule. They fail to understand that the universe operates according to divine timing, not human impatience. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every day to check its progress. You water it, you provide the conditions for growth, and you trust in the natural process of germination. So it is with your desires. Plant them in consciousness through the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Then allow the universe to bring them to fruition in its perfect timing. This requires faith, not blind faith in an external power, but faith in the law of consciousness itself. It requires knowing that what is impressed in consciousness must express. There is no question of if, only when, and the when is determined not by calendars and clocks, but by the intensity and persistence of your assumption. Let me share with you now one of the most powerful manifestation techniques I have ever discovered: revision. The past exists only in memory, and memory can be altered through the conscious use of imagination. If today has brought disappointment or failure, revise it before you sleep. Replace the unwanted event with one that would have satisfied you. Feel the revised scene as vividly as you felt the original. This practice does something remarkable. It alters not just your memory, but the trajectory of your manifestation. For whatever you take with you into sleep impresses your subconscious mind, and your subconscious knows no difference between an actual event and one vividly imagined. By revising the day, you literally rewrite your past and consequently your future. I recall a businessman who had botched an important presentation, losing a significant contract. That night, instead of replaying the failure, he revised the scene. In imagination, he heard the client praising his presentation and eagerly signing the contract. He fell asleep in this assumption. 3 days later, the client called unexpectedly, saying he had reconsidered and wanted to move forward after all. This was not coincidence. This was the law of revision at work. The universe guides you to the principle of revision by allowing you to alter the past in consciousness, thereby changing the patterns that determine your future. Your past is simply your beliefs about what has occurred, and beliefs can be changed. Now, as we consider how the universe guides you to manifest greatness, we must address a fundamental truth. There is no one else. There is only consciousness expressing itself in myriad forms. What you see as separate individuals are really aspects of your own consciousness pushed out. This is not solipsism. It is the recognition that consciousness is the only reality, and your individual consciousness is one with the universal consciousness. This understanding transforms how you relate to others in your manifestation practice. You do not need to change others, you need only change your consciousness of them. As you revise your concept of another person, they must conform to your revised concept, not through manipulation, but through the law of consciousness. If there is someone in your life who seems hostile or uncooperative, do not try to change their behavior directly. Instead, create a scene in imagination where they are exactly as you would like them to be. Hear them saying the words you long to hear. Feel the satisfaction of harmonious interaction. Persist in this assumption, and they will change, not because you have controlled them, but because you have changed your consciousness of them. The universe guides you by reflecting back to you your consciousness of others. Everything and everyone in your world is yourself pushed out. Change yourself, your assumptions about your relationship with anything, and the thing itself must change. This brings us to perhaps the most profound aspect of universal guidance, the recognition that you are not manifesting things or conditions at all. You are manifesting states of consciousness. The outer world is a shadow, a reflection of inner states. When you truly grasp this, manifestation becomes effortless. Instead of struggling to change conditions, simply enter the state of consciousness that would be yours if conditions were already changed. Live from that state. Make it your dwelling place. The conditions must then rearrange themselves to match your new state of consciousness. I know a woman who desired financial freedom. Rather than focusing on specific dollar amounts or investment strategies, she cultivated the state of consciousness of one who is financially free. She felt the relief, the security, the generosity that financial freedom would bring. Within 6 months, through a series of events that no one could have predicted, she received an inheritance, a promotion, and an investment opportunity that together created exactly the financial freedom she had assumed in consciousness. The universe guided her not to specific actions, but to the embodiment of a state from which the right actions naturally flowed. This is crucial to understand. Right action follows right consciousness. When you dwell in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you will be guided unerringly to take the actions that lead to its manifestation. Now let us address an aspect of manifestation that troubles many. What of those desires that seem impossible? What of physical healing when doctors have pronounced a condition incurable? What of financial abundance when one is deeply in debt? What of love when one has experienced nothing but rejection? I tell you this, nothing is impossible to the one who understands the law of consciousness. The word impossible exists only in the dictionary of fools. In consciousness, all things are possible. The universe guides you beyond seeming impossibilities by urging you to revise your concept of what is possible. When something appears impossible, it is not the thing itself that blocks you. It is your belief in its impossibility. Change the belief, and you change the outcome. This is not positive thinking. This is the recognition of the absolute malleability of reality in response to consciousness. Consider the biblical story of the centurion who came to Jesus seeking healing for his servant. Jesus offered to go to the servant, but the centurion replied, "Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof. Just say the word and my servant will be healed." Jesus marveled at his faith, saying, "Go your way. As you have believed, so let it be done for you." And the servant was healed in that very hour. This story illustrates a profound truth. Healing, indeed, all manifestation, occurs not through external intervention, but through faith. And faith is nothing more than the unquestioning acceptance of a state as if it were already real. The centurion did not doubt. He knew that consciousness was the one and only reality. The universe guided him by responding to his conviction. So it is with you. Whatever you accept fully in consciousness must manifest in your experience. If it has not yet appeared, you have not yet fully accepted it. There remains some doubt, some contradiction in your consciousness that prevents its expression. The solution is not to try harder, but to achieve a deeper acceptance. Fall in love with the state of the wish fulfilled. Make it so natural, so much a part of you, that to experience anything else would seem strange. This complete naturalization of the state is the secret of effortless manifestation. Now, let me share with you what may be the most important insight of all. The universe guides you to greatness through self-love, not the narcissistic self-absorption that passes for self-love in popular discourse, but the profound recognition of your divine nature. When you truly love yourself, when you recognize yourself as the operant power, the God in action within your world, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. For self-love creates a consciousness of worthiness, and the universe can give you only what you believe yourself worthy of receiving. Many seekers struggle with manifestation because at deepest level they do not believe themselves deserving of their desires. They may affirm abundance while unconsciously feeling unworthy of it. They may visualize perfect health while secretly believing they deserve illness as punishment for some past misdeed. These contradictions in consciousness must be resolved before manifestation can occur. The universe guides you by reflecting your self-concept with perfect accuracy. As you cultivate genuine self-love, not as a technique, but as the recognition of your true identity, your outer world must reflect that love back to you in countless forms. Practice seeing yourself through the eyes of love. Speak to yourself as you would to someone precious beyond measure. Forgive yourself completely for all perceived failures and shortcomings. As you do this, you raise your consciousness to a level where manifestation becomes spontaneous and joyful. I once counseled a woman who had spent decades trying various manifestation techniques without success. When we explored her consciousness, we discovered a deep-seated belief that she was fundamentally flawed and undeserving of good. This belief, operating beneath her conscious awareness, negated all her affirmations and visualizations. I instructed her to spend 30 days practicing radical self-love. Each night before sleep, she was to mentally review her day, blessing every aspect of herself, her body, her mind, her emotions, even her perceived failures. Within 2 weeks, she reported feeling lighter, more peaceful. By the end of the 30 days, manifestations began appearing in her life. Opportunities, relationships, resources that had previously been blocked by her self-rejection. The universe had been guiding her all along, reflecting her consciousness with perfect fidelity. As she changed her consciousness of self, the universe could at last deliver the greatness that had always been her birthright. Now, as we draw toward the conclusion of our discussion, let me emphasize a truth that many teachers of manifestation overlook. The purpose of manifestation is not merely the acquisition of things or experiences, but the expansion of consciousness. The universe guides you to greatness not so that you may accumulate possessions, but so that you may know yourself as the creator of your reality. Each desire fulfilled reveals more of your divine nature to you. Each manifestation confirms the law of consciousness and deepens your understanding of your true identity. This is the ultimate purpose of the manifestation process, self-realization. When you manifest from this understanding, your desires themselves transform. No longer do you seek things to fill a sense of lack. You manifest as a joyful expression of your abundance. No longer do you chase experiences to escape your present. You create as an extension of your fullness. This shift in consciousness, from manifesting to have, to manifesting to express, is the hallmark of spiritual maturity. The universe guides you to this maturity through the very process of fulfilling your desires. As you succeed in manifesting your wishes, you come to recognize the creative power that is your true essence. This recognition is the greatest manifestation of all. Let me leave you with this final thought. The universe, that infinite intelligence that pervades all things, guides you to greatness not through external signs or complicated rituals, but through the simple yet profound law of consciousness. What you are conscious of being, you must manifest. There is no exception to this law. Therefore, be conscious of greatness. Assume it, feel it, live from it now. Not as something to be achieved, but as the truth of who you already are. Fall asleep each night in the assumption of greatness fulfilled, and watch as the universe rearranges itself to express that greatness in your outer world. I am not asking you to believe me. I am asking you to test this law for yourself. For truth is never truly known until it is experienced. Take your most heartfelt desire, apply these principles faithfully for 30 days, and observe the results. The universe will guide you to the manifestation of that desire as surely as tomorrow's sun will rise. Remember always, imagination creates reality. Your consciousness is the one and only creative power. The universe guides you to greatness by responding precisely to your state of consciousness. Change your conception of self, and you change your world. Go now in the knowledge of your divine creative power. Go with the certainty that the universe guides you unfailing toward the expression of your greatness. Go in the awareness that the God of which I speak is your own wonderful human imagination, and through its conscious use, all things are possible to you. For the kingdom of heaven is within you, and the universe guides you to manifest that kingdom in all its glory, here and now, in your earthly experience. This is the promise. This is the law. This is the truth that sets you free. It is a journey that each of you must undertake alone. For in the depths of solitude lies the key to unlocking the fullness of life, the vastness of your potential, and the true nature of your being. Live alone, live fully. These words may seem contradictory to some. Society has conditioned us to believe that a life lived alone is somehow lacking, incomplete. But I say to you, with the utmost conviction, that it is in solitude that we find the very essence of our completeness. Consider for a moment the great oak tree. It stands alone in the forest, its roots delving deep into the earth, its branches reaching skyward in a majestic display of individuality. Does the oak tree bemoan its solitary existence? Does it yearn for the company of other trees to feel complete? No, my friends. The oak tree simply is. In its solitude, it grows stronger, taller, magnificent with each passing season. You are that oak tree. Your solitude is not a curse, but a blessing, a gift that allows you to stretch your roots deep into the fertile soil of your imagination, to extend your branches into the limitless sky of impossibility. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Neville, I feel lonely. I crave companionship. And to you, I say this loneliness is but a state of mind, a product of your imagination. And if it is your imagination that has created this feeling, then it's your imagination that holds the power to transform it. For you see, in truth, you are never alone. You are always in the company of the most important thing in the universe, yourself. Or rather, your inner self, which is nothing less than God individualized as you. When you truly understand this, when you fully grasp that the I am within you is the very essence of creation itself, how can you ever feel alone? how can you ever feel lacking? Let me share with you a profound truth. The world is yourself pushed out. Every person you encounter, every situation you face is but a reflection of your own consciousness. When you live alone, when you embrace solitude, you are given the precious opportunity to shape your consciousness without the constant influence and distraction of others. In this solitude, you can begin to truly know yourself. And in knowing yourself, you come to know God. For are you not told in your scriptures, be still and know that I am God? This stillness, this solitude, is the very gateway to divine understanding. But let us delve deeper into this concept of living alone, of embracing solitude. Many of you may be wondering, how can I live fully if I'm alone? Isn't life meant to be shared? My dear friends, life is indeed meant to be shared. But first and foremost, it must be shared with yourself. For how can you truly share with others if you have not first cultivated a rich inner life? Think of your mind as a garden. In solitude, you are the sole gardener. You have the power to choose which seeds to plant, which thoughts to nurture, and which beliefs to water and tend. Without the constant chatter and opinions of others, you can hear the quiet whisper of your own intuition, the gentle guidance of your inner voice. This garden of your mind cultivated in solitude becomes a paradise of infinite possibility. Here in the quiet of your own company, you can plant the seeds of your deepest desires, your grandest ambitions, your most cherished dreams. And make no mistake, my friends, these seeds, nurtured by the power of your focused imagination, will grow. They will flourish. They will bear fruit in your external reality. For as within, so without. As above, so below. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Neville, isn't this selfish? Shouldn't we be focusing on others? On making the world a better place? To you I say this. There is no greater service you can render to the world than to realize the divinity within yourself. For in doing so, you elevate not just your own consciousness, but the consciousness of all humanity. Remember, the world is yourself pushed out. As you transform your inner world through the power of solitude and focused imagination, you automatically transform the world around you. Your very presence becomes a blessing to others, a light in the darkness, a beacon of hope and possibility. In your solitude, you become a living testament to the power of the human spirit, to the boundless potential that lies within each and every one of us. You become a walking, breathing example of what is possible when one fully embraces their divine nature. But let us be clear regarding alone. Embracing solitude does not mean isolating yourself from the world. It does not mean becoming a hermit, shutting yourself away from all human contact. No, my friends, it means cultivating a rich inner life that allows you to engage with the world from a place of fullness, of completeness. When you live alone in this sense, you no longer seek validation from others. You no longer look to relationships, achievements, or material possessions to fill a perceived void within you. Instead, you move through life with a quiet confidence, a deep sense of peace, knowing that all you need is already within you. This is the true power of being alone. The power to be self-sufficient, self-contained, complete unto yourself. It is the power to stand firm in your own truth, regardless of the opinions or judgments of others. It is the power to love unconditionally, without need or expectation, for you have discovered the inexhaustible source of love within your own heart. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, this sounds difficult. How do I begin this journey into solitude? My dear friends, the journey begins with a simple decision, the decision to turn within. Start by setting aside time each day for quiet contemplation. It need not be hours. Even a few minutes of focused inner attention can work wonders. In these moments of solitude, practice the art of being still. Let the chatter of your mind gradually subside. Feel the presence of the I am within you. Recognize that this presence, this awareness, is your true self. Eternal, unchanging, all-powerful. As you cultivate this practice, you will begin to notice a shift. The need for constant external stimulation will diminish. The fear of being alone will fade away. In its place, a new feeling will arise, a feeling of profound peace, of connection to something vast and eternal. This is the beginning of living alone, of living fully. It is the recognition that you are complete, whole, and perfect just as you are. It is the understanding that all you seek, all the love, all the joy, all the abundance is already within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. But let me warn you, my friends, this journey is not always easy. There will be moments when the old habits of seeking fulfillment outside yourself will resurface. There will be times when the silence seems deafening, when the solitude feels overwhelming. In these moments, remember this: you are never truly alone. The entire universe resides within you. Every possibility, every potential experience exists in the infinite field of your consciousness. When you feel lonely, when you yearn for companionship, turn within. Engage your imagination. For your imagination is nothing less than God in action within you. In your imagination, you can experience anything you desire. You can be anyone, do anything, have anything. Imagine yourself surrounded by loving friends, engaged in joyful conversation. Feel the warmth of their presence, the sound of their laughter. Experience it as vividly as if it were happening right now, in this very moment. Then open your eyes and notice how you feel. Notice how your entire state of being has shifted. This, my friends, is the power of your imagination. This is the power that is always available to you, especially in moments of solitude. As you continue on this journey of living alone and living fully, you will discover that solitude is not the absence of relationship, but rather the most profound relationship of all, the relationship with your own divine self. In this relationship, you will find a love that never wavers, a strength that never falters, a wisdom that never fails. You will discover that you are the author of your own life story, the creator of your own reality. And as you embrace this truth, as you live from this understanding, you will find that your life becomes richer, fuller and vibrant than you ever thought possible. For you are no longer living from lack, from need, from the belief that something outside yourself can complete you. Instead, you are living from wholeness, from completeness, from the unshakable knowledge that you are one with the source of all creation. This, my dear friends, is what it truly means to live. Now let us delve even deeper into this profound truth. As you embrace solitude, as it cultivates your world, you will begin to notice a remarkable transformation in your outer experiences. The world around you will seem to mirror the peace and contentment you feel within. People will be drawn to your presence, sensing the quiet strength and self-assurance that emanates from you. Opportunities will seem to arise effortlessly, as if the universe itself is conspiring to support your dreams and desires. This is not mere coincidence, my friends. This is the law of attraction in action. As you align yourself with the truth of your being, as you vibrate at the frequency of your highest self, you naturally attract experiences that match this vibration. But remember, the key to this transformation lies in your ability to maintain your inner state, regardless of external circumstances. This is where the power of living alone truly shines. When you are comfortable in your own company, when you find joy and fulfillment with yourself, you are no longer at the mercy of the ever-changing world around you. You become like a mighty rock in the midst of a turbulent sea, unmoved, unshaken, standing firm in your truth. The inner energy cultivated in solitude becomes your greatest strength as you move through the world. It allows you to engage with others from a place where you're in love and compassion, rather than need or fear. You see, when you no longer need others to complete you, you are free to love them unconditionally. When you no longer seek validation from the outside world, you are free to express your authentic self without fear of judgment or rejection. This, my dear friends, is true freedom. It is the freedom that comes from knowing who you really are, from recognizing divine power that resides within you. And make no mistake, this freedom, this power is your birthright. It is not something you need to earn or achieve. It is simply waiting for you to claim it, to step into it, to live from it. The journey of living alone and living fully is, in essence, a journey of remembering. Remembering your true nature, remembering your divine heritage, remembering that you are, have always been, and will always be, one with the source of all creation. As you walk this path, you may find that your perception of the world begins to shift. What once seemed solid and fixed now appears fluid, malleable. The boundaries between self and other begin to blur as you recognize the same divine essence in all beings, in all things. This is the dawning of true spiritual awareness. It is the recognition that all of life is interconnected, that we are all expressions of the one infinite consciousness. And yet, paradoxically, it is in solitude that this awareness often first awakens. For it is when we are alone, truly alone with ourselves, that we can hear the whisper of our soul, the voice of our higher self. This voice, my friends, is always speaking to us. It is constantly guiding us, inspiring us, showing us the way to our highest good. But in the hustle and bustle of daily life, in the constant chatter of our minds, and the noise of the external world, this voice is often drowned out. That is why periods of solitude are so crucial. They provide the silence, the space in which we can attune ourselves to this inner guidance. They allow us to recalibrate our inner compass, to align ourselves with our true purpose. Now, some of you may be wondering, but Neville, what about my relationships? What about my family, my friends, my loved ones? To you, I say this, your relationships will only be enriched by your journey into solitude. For as you become more whole, more complete within yourself, you bring that wholeness into all your interactions. You no longer relate to others from a place of need or lack. You no longer seek to fill a void within yourself through your relationships. Instead, you come together in a spirit of sharing, of mutual growth and enrichment. Your relationships become a dance of two complete individuals, each secure in their own being, each bringing their unique gifts to the interaction. This is the foundation for truly fulfilling, truly harmonious relationships. Moreover, as you embrace solitude, as you cultivate your inner world, you become a source of inspiration for those around you. Your very presence serves as a reminder to others of their own innate divinity, their own untapped potential. You become a living example of what is possible when one fully embraces their true nature. And in doing so, you silently invite others to embark on their own journey of self-discovery. But let us be clear, this journey is not about becoming someone new. It is not about changing who you are. Rather, it is about stripping away the layers of conditioning, the false beliefs and limiting thoughts that have obscured your true nature. It is about remembering who you have always been, beneath the roles you play, beneath the masks you wear, beneath the identity you have constructed. In the silence of solitude, in the stillness of your own presence, you begin to touch the timeless, boundless essence of your being. You begin to experience yourself as pure awareness, as consciousness itself. And from this place of pure being, you can then choose how you wish to express yourself in the world. You can consciously create your life moment by moment, thought by thought, choice by choice. This, my dear friends, is what it truly means to live fully. It is to live from the deepest truth of your being, to express the fullness of who you are in every moment. And paradoxically, it is in learning to be alone, in embracing solitude, that we become capable of this fullness of living. For it is only when we are comfortable with ourselves, when we are at peace in our own company, that we can bring our whole selves to every situation, every interaction, every moment of our lives. So I invite you, my dear friends, to embrace solitude, to make friends with silence, to cultivate a rich inner life that sustains and nourishes you, regardless of external circumstances. Start small if you must. Set aside a few minutes each day for quiet contemplation. Gradually increase this time as you become more comfortable with stillness, with being alone with yourself. Use this time to explore your inner world, to examine your thoughts, your beliefs, your desires, to connect with the deepest truth of your being. As you do this, you may find that certain beliefs or thought patterns no longer serve you. You may discover limiting ideas that have been holding you back. In the light of your awareness, in the clarity of solitude, these can be gently released, allowing new, more empowering beliefs to take their place. Remember, my friends, your mind is the most powerful creative force in your yours. And in solitude, you have the opportunity to consciously direct this force, to shape your reality according to your highest vision. Imagine, if you will, that your mind is like a vast, clear lake. When the surface of the lake is disturbed by winds, the winds of external influences, opinions and distractions, it becomes difficult to see clearly to the bottom. But in solitude, as you cultivate inner stillness, the surface of the lake becomes calm. The water's clear, suddenly you can see all the way to the depths. You can perceive truths that were always there, but were obscured by the turbulence on the surface of us. This clarity, this depth of perception, is one of the greatest gifts of solitude. It allows you to see yourself and the world around you with new eyes. It enables you to make choices from a place of wisdom and understanding, rather than reacting from conditioning or habit. As you continue on this journey of living alone and living fully, you may find that your entire relationship with life begins to shift. What once seemed like problems or obstacles now appear as opportunities for growth and self-discovery. The ups and downs of life, which may have once tossed you about like a leaf in the wind, now become the very means by which you deepen your understanding, strengthen your resolve, and expand your consciousness. For you see, when you are truly comfortable being alone, when you are fully present with yourself, you bring this presence, this aliveness into every moment of your life. Whether you are engaged in work, interacting with others, or simply sitting in quiet contemplation, you are fully there, fully alive, fully you. This, my dear friends, is the essence of living fully. It is not about the quantity of experiences you have, but the quality of your presence in each experience. It is not about what you do, but how you do it. It is not about what you have, but how fully you appreciate and enjoy what is already here. And all of this becomes possible when you learn to be alone, when you embrace solitude as the gateway to your own divinity. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but never, what about love? What about intimacy? Can we truly experience these if we're focused on being alone? My dear friends, let me assure you, the love you discover within yourself, the intimacy we cultivate with your own being, becomes the foundation for the deepest, most fulfilling relationships you can imagine. For when you love yourself fully, when you are intimate with your own thoughts, feelings, and desires, you no longer approach relationships from a place of need or lack. You no longer seek in others what you believe to be missing in yourself. Instead, you come to each interaction, each relationship, as a complete being, offering the gift of your full presence, your authentic self. And in doing so, you create the space for others to do the same. This is the paradox of living alone and living fully in embracing solitude, in cultivating a rich inner life. You actually enhance your capacity for meaningful connection with others. You become like a cup that's already full, overflowing with love and joy. You no longer need others to fill you up, but rather you have an abundance to share with everyone you encounter. And here's another profound truth. As you embrace solitude, as you become comfortable being alone, you develop a deep sense of self-trust. You learn to rely on your own inner guidance, your own intuition, rather than constantly seeking advice or approval from others. This self-trust becomes your North Star, guiding you through life's challenges and decisions with a steady hand. It allows you to stand firm in your truth, even when others may doubt or criticize you. But remember, my friends, this journey is solitude. This path of living alone and living fully is not a destination to be reached. It is a continuous unfolding, a never-ending exploration of the vastness within you. Each day brings new opportunities to deepen your self-understanding, to expand your consciousness, to express more fully the divine potential that resides within you. And as you walk this path, you may find that your very presence becomes a blessing to others. Without even trying, you begin to uplift those around you simply by being who you truly are. For you see, when you are fully yourself, when you are living from the truth of your being, you give others permission to do the same. Your authenticity creates a space in which others feel safe to express their own truth, to be their own authentic selves. This, my dear friends, is how we change the world, not through grand gestures or heroic deeds, but through the simple, profound act of being true to ourselves, of living from our deepest truth. And it all begins with the willingness to be alone, to embrace solitude, to dive deep into the infinite ocean of being. So I invite you, my dear friends, to take this journey, to embrace the power of being alone, to discover the fullness of life that awaits you within your own consciousness. Remember, you are never truly alone. The entire universe resides within you. All of the joy, all the wisdom you could ever need is already present in the depths of your being, waiting to be recognized, waiting to be expressed. As you learn to live alone, as you cultivate this inner richness, you will find that your life becomes fuller, more vibrant, more alive than you ever thought possible. You will discover a peace that transcends all understanding, a joy that is not dependent on external circumstances, a love that knows no bounds. This is your birthright. This is your true nature. This is what it means to live alone and live fully. So go forth, my dear friends, into the vast, unexplored territory of your own being. Embrace solitude as your greatest teacher, your most faithful companion. And know that as you do so, you are not only transforming your own life, but you are contributing to the transformation of the entire world. For as you elevate your own consciousness, you elevate the consciousness of all humanity. This is the power of one individual fully realizing their divine nature. This is the power of living alone and living fully. May you walk this path with courage, with joy, with an open heart. And may you discover the infinite treasure that has always been hidden, waiting to be claimed. Remember, my dear friends, you are the author of your own story, the creator of your own reality. In solitude, in the quiet moments of self-reflection, you hold the pen. Write boldly, write beautifully, write the grandest version of your life that you can imagine. For in truth, there are no limits to what you can be, do, or have when you fully embrace the power of your own consciousness. And so as we come to the close of our time together, I leave you with this final thought. The journey of living alone and living fully is the most important journey you will ever undertake. For it is the journey to the very heart of who you are, to the very source of your being. Embrace it with all your heart. Trust in the process. Have faith in your own divine nature and watch as miracles unfold in your life as if by magic. For you are the miracle, my dear friends. You are the magic. You are the very essence of life itself, expressing itself in human form. Go forth and live from this truth. Go forth and shine your light. Go forth and be the fullest, most authentic expression of who you truly are. This is your purpose. This is your calling. This is your destiny. And it all begins with a simple, yet profound decision to embrace solitude, to live alone, to dive deep into the infinite ocean of your own being. The journey awaits you, my dear friends. The time is now. The power is within you. Live alone. Live fully. And watch as your life transforms in ways you never thought possible. Thank you, and may you be blessed on your journey.